Welcome to Jay Hunter's Garage. Today I'm changing the oil in a 2014 Chevy Equinox. Oil is down to 24%, so that's a good time to do it. And I'll show you how to reset the light so it gets it back up to 100%, which is fairly easy. I'll give you another quick tip here too. I have a lot of trees with a lot of leaves. No pun intended. Anyway, they end up gathering here. And then these leaves, I always clean these out when I have the opportunity, because this stuff gets down in there, and this is your intake for your defroster, for your inside air and whatnot. That's where the air comes from. So if you get this stuff down in there and it ends up collecting in places, it gets wet, it starts to get smelly, and then it's hard as heck to get rid of. So I like to get it all out, because leaves also help trap moisture, and then you end up getting rust eventually. So I always clean it out because it gets into tight places. It used to be that the cars, probably still does, the leaves collect down here and then they just build up. They stay wet, muddy, and ends up rusting out down here. Maybe they cured that by replacing that with plastic. We'll see. This car has almost 36,000 miles on it, which it is about out of warranty. And 24% on the meter inside. The oil doesn't look too shabby, actually. Speaking of, that's the HHR that I did my very first video on for an engine swap. That car's got close to 211,000 miles on it with a new engine, and the thing runs like a top. Runs really good. Powertrain Direct. They're a distributor, and they get their engines from a few different sources. Look at my video on that. It tells you where it actually came from. I think at the end of the 4th video for startup, or one of either 3 or 4. Anyway, one of those has the company that actually came from. Maybe Precision Engines out of Michigan. Anyway, they did a great job, and I'm going to change oil now. What you're going to need: so drain pan, new filter, new oil, funnel, and something to get this cap off, which is where the oil filter goes. Anyway, this is the 4-cylinder. It's not the V6, and I'm kind of glad, because it's less maintenance and the thing goes, and it gets great gas mileage. I actually like it. The air cleaner is over here. This is just a cover. I have yet to change that, so what I'm going to do with it, because it's only got 36,000 miles on it, I'm going to take this out. I'm going to blow it out with my compressed air, and just clean it off the best I can, slap it back in. That'd be fine. And just a general check, I'll be putting some new washer fluid in, and that's about it. Check the belt while I'm in here, which is down here, and really these are not a big headache to work on. You can get to everything, and everything's pretty simple. Actually, this one has way more room than the HHR does, that's for sure. It's very nice inside, and as far as I know, parts are readily available, which I haven't had to buy any yet. 36,000 miles, no issue yet. Drain plug on these, 15 millimeter. That's pretty common. I think my Suburban is the same thing. Camaro, same thing. Yeah, they're all 15 millimeter. That's good to know when you're changing the oil. You need a 15 millimeter, or the wrench or socket. Don't put the drain plug in too tight. You could strip it out. And make sure you put the drain plug in before you refill the engine with oil. Big lesson. You'll do it once. Once. Okay, I'm refilling the reservoir for the windshield washer fluid using Prestone All Season, removes bugs, clears ice. It's got methyl alcohol in it, and water, of course. So it's took almost a whole gallon to fill it up from empty. One thing you don't see in the engine compartment of this car or the HHR is a battery. No battery. The batteries in these cars are in the back, underneath the just underneath everything. Basically, it's kind of in the lowest point of the rear of the vehicle, all the way in the rear of the vehicle, which makes it kind of a pain if the battery goes dead. And some issue I had with this where I couldn't I think you can, if it goes dead and the key's in, you can't get the key out. Yeah, if it goes dead and you get in the car, if you can get in the car without the power door locks, use the key and open the or put the key in the ignition, and you go to turn it, oh, the battery's dead. All right. Well, these have a solenoid underneath the they got a solenoid underneath the steering column that prevents you from taking the key out. I don't know what that feature's all about, but it's easy. You can defeat it and get your key out, but there's somebody else has a video on that. And otherwise, you have to go get a battery, leave your car unlocked, climb through the back, pull out everything. She can't get the back door open. Pull out everything from inside, put the seats, I've had to do this, put the seats down, pull up the cargo floor, get to the battery, take the cables off, put the new battery in, put the cables on, put everything back, and then your car will light up and release the key. Weirdest thing I've ever seen, and I still don't understand why. Anyway, just another feature of a modern vehicle. Funny story about millennials. One time my daughter and I are going somewhere. She was going to be taking the HHR, and she had the keys with her, of course, with a key fob, and I was behind her, probably in the Suburban, and she went up to the car and she pushed the button and nothing happened. Battery was dead in the key fob. And she just looked at me and says, "Dad, the door won't open." I said, "Use a key." She says, "I am. It won't open." She's pressing it. I said, "Well, use the key." "I am using the key, Dad." So I said, "Don't push the button. Put the key that you would put into the ignition into that little round hole in the door and turn it. The door will unlock manually." Oh, I thought that was funny. Kids, modern technology, everything's got a button. I use this type of oil drain pan. I've had this for probably 4 years, and I keep it clean, and it lasts. You can use it over and over and over again. The only thing I've had to do is replace this cap because it started leaking. I hate things leaking. Anyway, that is a good buy, and I can take it right back to the auto parts store and recycle the oil. Being responsible. I'm using a 1/2-inch drive ratchet with an extension, a universal joint, call it wobbly, an adapter, and a like a 3/4 inch drive, large size socket that I think is 1 1/16, something like that, to get that oil cap off. And you see how it's got to be routed up here. Just barely gets on it to be able to get that loose. Yep. And that's going to take that out. I'm using a 3/8 ratchet with a 15mm for the oil drain plug. And that's it. Got my gloves and a funnel. It's not a hard job at all. My wife has done this before on the Suburban, so this one's a piece of cake. Okay, that socket, that size, is 1 5/16 inches. Pretty much you can only get in 3/4 inch drive, so I have to have an adapter. You just want to break that thing loose down there and take it out by hand. Otherwise, as it loosens and comes up, it traps the socket underneath a bolt and doesn't allow it to come out anymore. So just crack it loose to where you can get it with your hand, and then it'll just come right out. Like so. Oh. Here's the new filter. You just take out, this one just pops right off here, and you just replace the other one just like that. It's easy. Just make sure this O-ring is here, and they'll give you a new O-ring for this cap, which is alright. If your existing one is okay, you can keep it, and then just keep the other one for later, or get rid of it. Alright, here's a tip. Anytime you've got an O-ring, like I just put this new filter on with an O-ring, that O-ring's dry. Anytime you put a new O-ring in, lubricate it with some engine oil. If you're doing a particular if you're following some instructions of a particular procedure you're doing, replacing something, it should tell you to do that. Follow those for sure. But in general, lubricate your O-rings before you insert them, so you don't cut it when it's going into the surface that it's supposed to be sealing against. You don't want to do that. I just took the oil drain plug out, which is towards the back of the pan. Now I'm going to lay here while it drains, take a nap. Nap time's over. Word about drain plugs. There's an O-ring in there. It's a rubber O-ring. It pretty much stays in oil all the time. It's always wet, so they normally don't dry out. I guess eventually they do. But when you're tightening this, putting it in, don't hang on that wrench to get that thing so tight. Just snug it up so it doesn't leak. Because if you strip those threads out of there, you're going to be buying a new oil pan. It's going to ruin your day. You're going to have leaks until you do it, and if it even stays in at all. So don't over tighten these. Your owner's manual or Haynes manual probably has some proper nomenclature what to do, but just snug. You know, if you get your oil change at a car lube place, they're going to tighten the hell out of it. And then you're going to have a hell of a time getting it out if they don't strip the threads. So just get it nice and snug. That's all you got to do. Don't forget to add the oil before you start it. As a matter of fact, I always take the cap off right when I start this, if I'm not filming a video, just to remind me, cap and dipstick, remind me not to miss that. A word about oil, just my opinion. I bought that 2006 HHR brand new, that car right there. Seen videos on it. That engine went 204,000 miles before got a crack in the block, which is I don't know why it did that. It kind of sucks that it did, because the thing ran so good. Anyway, I had always used conventional oil in it. One time I put synthetic oil in it and the engine started getting leaks on the ground, because the molecules in that synthetic oil are so fine, they'll find places to get out. And sure enough, it did. So I drained that out. I put conventional oil back in it, 5W30, which is what it called for, and leak stopped. Following the timer, the percentage countdown on the dash, which sometimes was up to 10,000 miles before it was down to 20 or 15%. So I went right by the clock, changed it, and I got 200,000 miles out of that engine, and would have got more had the block not cracked and started leaking water into the oil. Not good. So I'm buying conventional oil. I'm not spending the money for the synthetic. Just my opinion. Okay, resetting the engine oil light. In this car, it's on page 10-12. How to reset the engine oil life system. Here it is. Basically, turn the key to run, but don't start the engine. Press the menu, and then press the set/clear button, and that should go. There you go. Say yes. Set. 100%. Job done. Next. Hey, thanks for watching. These are fun.